Today, a federal court blocks Joe Biden's tyrannical vaccine mandates. Joe Biden considering, after all that has happened, shutting down another oil pipeline as energy prices continue to soar. And in completely related news, Joe Biden's approval numbers continue to plummet. It's weird that he can't understand why. We have got a jam-packed show today, and it all starts right now. Hey, welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez. Happy Monday, everyone. It's going to be a doozy here at BlazeTV. We are joined today by BlazeTV contributor Eric July, who is also the host of For Canon's Sake, Young Rep of 5'9" on YouTube. Thanks for being here. Also back on the program, so excited, culture commentator Ariel Scarcella, who is also on YouTube as well. Tell everyone where they can find you on your channel.
YouTube.com/Ariel, ELLE.
Oh, yeah. You just got just the first name.
That's
like
because
Madonna,
I was an OG lesbian YouTuber back in like 2009 when they gave me that a long time ago.
I much prefer Ariel to Madonna, so queen. I'm just saying.
Thank you, Queen.
All right, so we're happy to have you back in studio. It's good to see you. I know it's been a while. I'm very interested to get y'all's take on the headlines of the day. First one being Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced over the weekend that the Federal Court of Appeals has issued a temporary halt to the vaccine mandate put in place by Joe Biden. So he said, breaking, the Federal Court of Appeals just issued a temporary halt. Emergency hearings will take place soon. We will have our day in court to strike down Biden's unconstitutional abuse of authority. Now, Texas was one of like 26 states that have launched lawsuits challenging this. So certainly we're not the only state, but there maybe is some traction gained. This is the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit, and they said that they were blocking the vaccine mandate pending further court order based on, quote, grave statutory and constitutional issues with the mandate. Interesting. The Constitution. There's a court that actually cited the Constitution. That's great, right? They still remember that it's a thing, so maybe this will be going somewhere. I don't know. Eric doesn't seem as sure.
No,
He's
look,
shaking his head.
This is where all the people that are watching this live over at Blaze Network, or if you're watching this live over at YouTube where you guys get pissy at me because I'm the anarchist at the table. I am so damn tired of folks legitimizing these federal court systems, and I think this is an opportunity for a lot of conservatives right now to nut up and just reject it in its entirety, right? Because the fact that there's even an institution that we have to listen to in all these individual states, especially one as independent as Texas, where we have to listen to what the hell they want us to do regarding mandating private institutions and businesses to, I don't know, have their employers or employees rather
they're the vaccine
be ejected.
Police now.
Right? Yeah, that's what they act as.
Right.
They're the enforcement wing of the federal government effectively right now. So what happens in the event that the court system upholds this nonsense? Then what? What happens? Probably going to be a bunch of milquetoast conservatives, probably one with an eye patch. Yes, I'll continue to rag on him. That will then come along and say, well, that's what they said. I guess we have to listen to them and we got to all line up and get the jab. So I understand that, and I don't think that people's ideas are like, there's some like mal intent here, right? I can recognize you have some good intentions by doing this maybe, but I don't think they understand that this has created the actual issue and why on earth of all people to trust in the federal court system. When we talk about like the SCOTUS, the Supreme Court, you can't get on Twitter and not see a bunch of conservatives griping that the folks that your beloved Trump put in aren't voting on behalf of your individual ideas. Yeah, I say tear it all the way down, but more importantly, like not recognize their freaking authority. My goal here, and this is the goal that I will have being on the Blaze for the next year. So be prepared for this. I want to delegitimize the federal government in the eyes of everybody that watches this show and everybody that works for Blaze Network. We'll see if I'm successful. In my first year, I got people like Chad Prather admitting that taxation is theft. So I would take that as a victory, and we'll see what happens in this upcoming year.
Well, and I do want to give credit where credit is due here. This was, of course, our own Attorney General Ken Paxton who filed this lawsuit. You know, Abbott got to announce it and kind of take the credit for this. But this was, of course, Ken Paxton, who has been amazing on top of all of this, unconstitutional mandates, Joe Biden continuing to abuse his power, and Ken Paxton has really been doing, I think, what he can to try to rein it in and at least challenge it. Ariel, you know, we talked before the program. You didn't used to be super into politics, but it's kind of, you've reached the intersect because now that you're so into culture, they're just one and the same, it seems. What are your thoughts on how, well, I was just going to say, what are your thoughts on how crazy this has all gotten that I never would have thought that there would come a day where we were talking in 2021 about Joe Biden trying to mandate a vaccine into people and mandate that employers be the ones who are enforcing it and that we're trying to stop it.
My question is,
it's insanity.
Do you think that at heart, Biden and the government know that they can't enforce these mandates,
yes.
and that's why they're making other people do the work for them.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
If you don't see that
100%.
at this point, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, it's funny too because we've seen time and time again, just in the last he's only been president for 10 months.
3 more years, baby.
I mean, that's depressing. But we've already seen, it's like they've used the CDC to unconstitutionally extend these eviction moratoriums. They are using OSHA now to try to make these rules to make these employers do this. That's also unconstitutional. We keep seeing them use these unrelated agencies to try to manipulate everything and make it so. And even then, Joe Biden was like, yeah, I really legally can't really do this. I'm sure the Supreme Court won't allow me to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway.
But he's not going to stop him from trying.
Yeah. He's just like, I'm going to do it anyway.
And I think a lot of people have issues with this, not because it's unconstitutional, that's just like a bonus, but because a lot of it doesn't make sense. The last time I was here, I didn't talk about this publicly until way later. I was here last July, and supposedly I got back to New York and I tested positive for COVID. I don't know where in the hell I got it, who I got it from, whatever. Yeah. I was fine. Yeah. Barely had any symptoms. So why would I go and get the vaccine? I have natural immunity, doesn't make sense. Somebody in my family works remote, completely remote, doesn't interact with anybody, and they're forcing him to get the vaccine as well. It makes no sense.
Well, that's how the schools are too.
Oh yeah.
They're taking online classes.
Yeah, and they're
still saying they're required.
And then you're 5 times vaxxed and you got to wear masks still. It doesn't make none of it makes sense.
And you really are onto something here because I think that has been sort of a great awakening that a lot of people maybe they're moderate Democrats and they've gone, well, hold on a second. I was okay to wear the mask. I was okay to shut down for a couple weeks. I was okay to do all of these things that you guys told us that we needed to continue to do until there was a vaccine. Although we here at the table, I think, would argue that you never should have complied to begin with because it's never just the
slippery
2 weeks.
slope.
Right. It's never just the mask for a limited amount of time. And you guys are seeing that now. We've been saying that this whole time. However, I can understand how people would go, well, we don't know anything about this. Let's do it now until we find out more. And now there's a vaccine. And now we can talk about the vaccine later, but I think a lot of people are seeing, guys, we're done.
A friend of mine just posted on Facebook an hour ago. She's in LA, very similar to what you're saying. She's in LA and she's like, listen, I understand most of the mandates, but 95% of people in my county are vaccinated and we still can't do all these things. Right. That's how you know she's tasting it.
Yes.
The red pill.
Yes.
Tasting it.
Just a little
bit. I was like, girl, this is, see, you see what I'm saying? And she's more progressive than I am in a lot of ways. She lives in California, but I'm from New York, so I've seen this coming. But I think one of the things that red pilled me was moving down to Florida part time because people make sense there. Right. No, it's true. It's people in New York are just herded. They don't even think that there's not time to think in some place like that. Florida, everyone's chill and they're like, well, man, Like, I don't know what it is about Florida.
None of it makes sense.
No, they can tell.
Let me throw in another story to your point, Ariel. The NBA is now, we've heard about the NBA. Who was it? Kyrie Irving, very outspoken about not getting the vaccine. This has been kind of controversial because the NBA, of course, did mandate that their players get the vaccine. Senior lead NBA insider reporter tweeted out today that the NBA and NBPA, Players Association, are now recommending that all players, coaches, front office, and personnel who are in Tier 1 should receive the booster shot if they received the J&J vaccine at least 2 months ago, or the Pfizer-Moderna at least 6 months ago. And they informed teams today that all players who received the J&J vaccine at least 2 months ago will be subject to game day testing beginning December 1st if they do not receive the additional booster shot. You guys, we told you this is forever. You will continue to get these booster shots. There is no way out of this if you continue to comply. Because again, to your point.
You called it.
Well, but to your point, at least 2 months ago, and now it's been 2 months since you've taken one of these vaccines.
You gotta do it again.
And now you got to do it again. Now you need a booster shot. How in the world does that make sense? And Ariel, you were at the conference, the Better Discourse event that we both spoke at. And this was the point that I was trying to make when I was having a friendly conversation, shall we say.
I saw it. You went off, and I was loving it.
With a member of the left. It was just like, none of this makes any sense. If your vaccine works, again, we are not doctors. We do not give medical advice. All of that jargon to YouTube. Our benevolent dictators over at YouTube. We are not trying to give medical advice. If you need medical advice, please go talk to your doctor. But I'm just posing the question, if the vaccine works, then why do you continue to need boosters every 2 months?
Oh man, this.
And why are you continuing to mask? And why are you continuing?
Why do you have to
Well, the NBA's policy makes no sense at all.
Right.
The NBA's policy, because they don't. It's not necessarily a direct mandate. How it works. This is why Jonathan Isaac's able to play, because he plays for the Orlando Magic, as well as Bradley Beal, both of which are not vaccinated. Hell, they can go play in New York City right now as a visiting team. Kyrie's in a bit of a hiccup because his home-based team is in New York City. That's their rules. The visiting team doesn't have to have the vaccinations or anything. But if you are unvaccinated, you have to. Again, none of it makes sense. Which is why it's like
when you're
stupid.
the visiting team, you don't spread.
Yeah,
COVID.
you don't spread COVID.
It's just the rules.
As also, as long as you just get a swab in your nose a million times, which is basically what these unvaccinated players are having to do. I believe 97% of the NBA certainly is vaccinated, despite all these people continuing to test positive. Like we see the numbers out of the UK that's happening as well, which has done a way better job of tracking their breakthrough cases in comparison to the United States. Right now, I believe over the ages of 30 and older right now, if you go look at their data, shows that per 100,000, per individual group, so vaccinated and unvaccinated, vaccinated people have a higher case rate, than what the unvaccinated do. So maybe this goes going back, and I don't know if some of those guys are naturally immune or whatever. I believe all of that has to go in account. But none of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. Like, I guess you had a case to make for justifying it, though I would argue you never did. If the moronic idea was, okay, I guess you could put other people in danger. But you've been stripped of that.
You're only putting yourself in danger.
Yeah, that's the only person that you put in danger.
That's my body, my choice. If I want to put myself in danger, I'm going to do it.
Yes, exactly.
They're not stopping us from jumping out of planes.
Nope, they're not stopping us from doing anything. Look at the various amounts of other viruses that people spread around that you don't get tested for, including coronaviruses that are associated with like the common cold, the flus, and all of that of the world, where I didn't have to provide that in order to go to the freaking diner or anything like that. But now all of a sudden this one comes, and now this is what we're doing. So it didn't make sense then, but all of a sudden we're just supposed to accept it as something that we're supposed to be doing, getting shot after shot. Some people within the next you look at the past 365 days, these people are going to be like mixing and matching vaccines by then. They're going to have 4 or 5 shots by then. And the can keeps continuing to get down the road, which is why they don't really say not vaccinated anymore. It's not fully vaccinated. Yeah. Because there's people that have jabs, but maybe they only got 1 dose, or maybe they only got 3 doses. I don't know. But they passed that 2 month sort of requirement, and they're out of date right now. None of this makes sense, which is why I say we need to delegitimize their authority and just go tell them to go screw themselves. That's the only way we get out of this, because these guys are on a complete power trip, and they don't want to let go of it. And they have convinced a bunch of people to go along with an idea or a plan that if you just break it down for the common man to understand, they themselves will recognize it makes no sense. Vaccinated people factually have like a viral load similar to unvaccinated. It does not prevent transmission. As of August the 5th, your beloved CDC director has conceded that. What the hell are we doing still going on with this? And, you know, you got a bunch of drones maybe on Twitter that just accepted that it just has to happen.
Yeah, Ariel, last word on this. I would contend that the vaccinated people, I just saw that the U.S. is now reopening travel, foreign travelers to come in as long as they're fully vaccinated. And I'm like, I would argue you're letting the super spreaders in because if they're vaccinated and they have less severe symptoms, they're not going to know they have it.
What was the country that had I think it was Australia, wasn't it? The most vaccinated people, but the highest rates of COVID?
Singapore, New Zealand's bad.
Australia's New Zealand,
Israel too.
Israel's bad. New Zealand.
Israel, no, that's what it was.
New Zealand, like for example, Singapore is the worst because like Singapore has the high, like it's far worse than what they had at the peak of the pandemic last year.
Right. Well, I mean, it's the same here.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the same case here. So none of this makes sense, but you're just supposed to be told, just take another booster. All right, just take another booster and shut up about it.
Shut up.
And it'll just all make sense once you just go to sleep. Take your booster and go to sleep, okay? Then it'll make sense. All right.
The mask has become a literal symbol of what it.
Yeah.
Cool. Shut up.
Yes, exactly. Shut up. We don't want to hear it.
Yep.
All right, we've got more to come. But first, we want to thank our sponsor, OmegaXL. So I don't know if you guys realize this, but you have like 360 joints from your neck down each vertebrae in your back. They go to your arms, your hips, your knees, your feet. And that's a lot of joints to just take a beating with daily activity and aging. And you may be at the point in your life where I am, where you just wake up and you roll over and get out of bed and you're like, oh, I just pulled something. So if that happens to you, if you are in that boat, you got to try OmegaXL. All right. OmegaXL has the science behind it. When we're young, our bodies produce these SPM lipid mediators that help our bodies fight inflammation. And this is nature's way of keeping our joints healthy. But as we age, we stop producing enough of that. So it can lead to you really being in a lot of pain. OmegaXL can restore your SPMs and rejuvenate your joints and muscles so that you can move like when you were young and, way more flexible than you are now. Really, in all seriousness, if you are living in pain, you have to try OmegaXL. Just the idea that you can get out of pain, it affects so much of your life. You can be less crabby to your spouse. You can start doing things that you didn't used to do. You got to try OmegaXL. You will be glad you did. If you order a bottle now, you will get a second bottle for free over at OmegaXL.com/news. That is OmegaXL.com/news. Just to wrap up our conversation on COVID, I'm just going to, if you guys would allow me, I just want to put like a tinfoil hat on really quickly for this next story, just to have a little bit of fun, all right? We try to make the news palatable for you so that you laugh and don't cry, because it's all depressing. But California Governor Gavin Newsom was last seen on October 27th publicly when he received a Moderna vaccine booster at an Asian health services clinic in Oakland's Chinatown, which I feel like is like there's way too many like buzzwords going on there.
Way too much pandering.
Yeah, like you had to go to
Chinatown.
We went to the Asian health center.
Yeah, literally, it's really good.
But actually, it's just like a white man to take away medical service from Asians. I'm just kidding. Yes, but so he was last seen getting his booster and then just out of nowhere canceled his plans to attend the COP26 climate summit in Scotland. They said it was over unexplained family obligations. But since then, he has not been seen in public at all, which is really, this was a big deal. This was a big climate summit that he had plans to attend. All of a sudden, after his booster shot, nothing. And then we got a weird deleted tweet from his wife, who first tweeted out, "It's funny how certain folks can't handle truth. When someone cancels something, maybe they're just in the office working. Maybe in their free time, they're at home with their family, at their kids' sports matches, or dining with their wife. Please stop hating and get a life." And then she deleted the tweet, which is like, we're not just talking about just a random person who's missing. This is the governor of California who has not been seen. It's very odd.
Bizarre.
Very odd.
And it's the same, we were talking about it before we started taping again. Jen Psaki, the same thing happened. She caught COVID and publicly said that she did or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then nobody's seen her for like a few days either. So maybe they're doing the right thing and just like not becoming the spreaders or something.
Well, but it'd be nice to
doesn't
hear
he have
from...
like 18 vaccines now? Like, how is he becoming this?
Right, that's why I'm saying
why is he hiding
it'd be
out
nice
in his basement like Joe Biden?
Yeah, it'd be nice to hear from him if he had fallen ill. I think the people of California deserve to know that.
Yeah, they do. When you're serving the public, this is your job. It's your job. Part of your job is to be open about what the hell is going on.
Well, as you pointed out, I think the leader of their party is Basement Joe. So maybe they just think that's
just learning from the expert.
Yeah, that's just totally fine now to just hang out in the basement and hide from people.
Yeah, I don't know. This is kind of bizarre,
it's
but
weird.
With politicians, on a serious note, and in their be it adverse effects or any sort of impact that maybe they are having, and it's not to say that this is what's happening to Gavin. I'm saying if it is, we're not going to ever know about it, and it's not like he would ever come out and openly say that. But none of them do. We still don't know. Hell, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, was that over the weekend or was that Friday when they asked her what percentage of the CDC
was
vaccinated,
saw that recently,
and she didn't want to, she didn't want to answer that basically, as well as we know that there are Congress folk that have been taking the horse dewormer, but we don't know who.
Yeah.
So look, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and sometimes you have to put your tinfoil hat, and I think people should look at that more often. It's not the fact that we're putting the tinfoil hat on, it's that we have to put it on to try to make sense of this, because the events don't seem to line up, certainly when you consider the policy it is that these guys are enacting. So who knows what's going on with them. I know she lists all this sort of things of what could happen in her deleted tweet. I mean, not an argument. We still don't know. And obviously it wasn't some of those, because he would at least been caught in public if that would have been the case, if he was, I don't know, going to his son's soccer match or whatever it was. I don't know what's going on with this man, but if it is maybe an adverse effect, we hear about those all the time. People get jabs and then they get sick.
Well, I think the man who's mandating it for everyone else probably should fess up if that's the case.
If that's the case, just be transparent about it and say, oh yeah, I had a reaction, wasn't really feeling well, so I'm just kind of laying low. I mean, you think that if it was about, I don't know, safe and effective, you just at least let people in on that, but it doesn't seem to be the case.
One would think. All right, let me switch gears here to oil. So the Biden administration is considering, things are going so great at the gas pump that they are considering shutting down another critical oil pipeline. They are studying the impact, they say, of shutting down the Line 5 pipeline, which transports crude oil and other petroleum products from Canada to the United States. This is a pipeline that transports 540,000 barrels of oil per day. So not a small amount. There are people who say that not only would ceasing Line 5's operations likely drive up energy prices in Michigan, which have already spiked 50% in 1 year, but closing the pipeline would also cost thousands of workers their jobs, which is Joe Biden is no stranger to this. When he got in office, he shut down the Keystone Pipeline. There were a lot of oil and gas workers, union members, who were like, hold on, we thought you were Union Joe, and you just kicked us out of our jobs, so what the hell's going on? We've seen gas prices continue to soar. I know you guys, you have to fill up your cars, right? So I know you guys have seen this personally. You may be thinking, what is the Biden administration's plan to solving this? Well, that was actually asked of Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm, who she had quite a response when asked what the Biden administration's plan is to solve all of these rising oil prices. Watch.
In Sturgis, Michigan, it is $2.89 a gallon. I guess that's better than in California. What is the Granholm plan to increase oil production in America?
Oh my God, that is hilarious. Would that I had the magic wand on this. As you know, of course, oil is a global market. It is controlled by a cartel. That cartel is called OPEC, and they made a decision yesterday that they were not going to increase beyond what they were already planning.
It's just weird because we had a president who made us like the most energy independent that we had been. And now we have an administration who wants to continue to say that it's up to OPEC. As they continue shutting pipelines down coming into the country, it's really hard to believe that this administration actually wants us to succeed. It feels a lot like they are just doing things on purpose to make us fail. I guess I'm just going to be a conspiracy theorist for the rest of the show.
I don't think you're conspiracy. I think everything you're saying makes a whole bunch of sense. And I think that's why this country it's like starting with Virginia, slowly starting to flip into red states. Yeah.
So it's not just the soccer moms, right? Because in Virginia, everyone was like, well, it's just the parents.
I think you and I know. I get in my DMs, especially the LGBT community is waking up too. Very slowly, but we are. We're sick of being pawns. I'm sure you can understand the same thing. Like everyone assumes black people have to think a certain way, gay people have to think a certain way. And I think they're using us to forward whatever their agenda is. We don't know. Nobody can ever know except them. And I think it's America Last. Yeah. I think it's literally opposite of Trump. And I think it's funny because they were the ones, like, I mean, sure, you said this multiple times on your show, but they were the ones calling Trump the dictator. And it turns out that it's this new.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and I mean, it's like
this new administration.
that was a little
really
bit
taking
of
the cake. Yeah.
projection there. Like, he's the dictator. Oh, look, we have a dictator over here. We're just gonna. But you know, it is interesting too because you had Donald Trump, who I think a lot of people obviously he had mean tweets, and that just offended a lot of people. However, I think what's more impactful is what people, what they see when they fill up their gas tanks, what they see when they go to the grocery store and pay their food bills because they need to feed their families, feed their children. These are things that Donald Trump, love him or hate him, impacted America for the better. He had more people working. He had a booming economy before COVID. These were things that the average American could feel in their everyday life. Now you've got a complete opposite that the average American feels, which is I don't like what I'm paying at the gas pump, and I don't like what I'm paying for meat and all of the same things that I was paying for a couple years ago and was costing me way less. It's not a coincidence that Joe Biden is now the president and these things are happening.
Yeah.
Well, that's when they finally start paying attention.
Yeah.
Normies, definitely political normies, until it really lands on their lap, lands in their lap, and they see that great shift of change. I think with the money situation is the biggest one, where people are realizing that certain goods and services are costing way more than what they did not too long ago. So it forces them to say, okay, why is this the case? And maybe it's things that they maybe took for granted before because they didn't know any better. But this is the case against democracy as far as I'm concerned, because most people are stupid, and unfortunately their vote counts just as much as anybody else, as they finally have to get kicked in the face in order to realize that, okay, we've kind of screwed this up. Anybody that had half a brain and paid attention know this was on the horizon, considering what this I don't want to call it a criminal. Well, no, that's what it is. It's a criminal institution. I guess I can say that Biden's administration is exactly that.
I was going to say, I was shocked that you almost refrained from saying
that.
I
know, right? No, that's exactly what it is that they are. But they were pretty upfront with the fact that independence in any really way, shape, or form is not something that this current administration was fond of. So that applies from the individual on down to larger groups or states. Independence is not what they want. Dependence is what you want, what they wanted regarding the government. And now people are feeling the impact of that, and now they're finally starting to pay attention now. So I guess better later than never.
Yeah, well, that's fair. Hopefully it's not too late. All right, we've got more to come, but first we want to thank our sponsor, Built Bar, which I am really, really excited about. So Built Bar has this new contest, and they actually have a mystery flavor. And look, I don't know if you can see, there's a bunch of it's over here. There's a bunch of question marks over here. It's mystery flavor. Nobody knows what it is, but you can enter to win and guess the mystery flavor. If you get it, you enter to win, you guess it, you get it right, you get a Peloton and also free Built Bar for a year supply, something like that. And they've got a bunch of different other prizes. They've got an iPhone and a Built Bar supply for a year. They've got a ton of really, really cool options. I have not tried it yet, and I am really looking forward to, as soon as we end this program, going off stage and trying this and entering to win. Because I too want, I'll take the Peloton, but what I really want is a supply of Built Bar for a year. If you guys have not tried it yet, it is a protein bar, but it is healthy for you, but it tastes like a candy bar. So you're going to feel like you're cheating on your diet, but you are not. It's all covered in 100% chocolate, and they've got the most amazing flavors. You got to go to the website and check it out. It is built.com. If you use promo code NEWS15, you will save 15% off of your first order. Go there, get this mystery flavor. We got to figure this out together, all right? But I'm just saying, if we win collectively, I will take the year supply of Built Bar. I'm just saying. News 15 over at built.com. So to our points here that we were talking about Joe Biden, it just feels a lot like he's trying to destroy things on purpose. Ariel, you said that there are more people that are waking up.
Definitely.
I think the polls show, anyway, that you're right on this. There's the approval rating of Joe Biden has sunk to a new low. Now, this isn't to say that Republicans can't screw it up, because they are really, really good at screwing things up when something is handed to them. Yes, they're really good at it. But Biden job approval, 38% approve, followed by 59% who disapprove. And then, of course, Kamala Harris job approval, what job? I think I would say.
What is she doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Talk about people disappearing.
Well, what job? 28% approval and 51% disapproval rating. So, maybe that people are really waking up.
I think they are. What's interesting to me is the people that I at least encounter that like Biden the most are the people that he wasn't like promoting himself to, are these white liberals. Yeah. It's not the actual Hispanic community. It's not the black community. It is the gay community still. They're just slow. They're a little slower on certain things. But I literally walked through the airport on my way here with a Let's Go Brandon hat. One of my friends made it. Every single person that stopped me was a minority, and that's not except one. Really? Except one, yes. And there was a black couple. There was 3 Hispanic people that worked, and I just said this on Chad's show, three Hispanic people that were working at the smoothie shop where I got a smoothie. Every single one of them, they were speaking Spanish, and then I was like, what are they saying? And then one of them turned to me, they were like, we love your hat. But I don't know if they could say it loud because they might get in trouble. Right. And then an Asian guy literally chased me down, and I got like all egotistical. I was like, oh, he watches my videos. No, he just wanted a picture with me with the hat.
Oh, man.
And I was like, some random Asian dude. Like a 40-year-old Asian guy just literally chased me down the hallway. He's like, can I take a picture of you? And I'm like, sure. He's like, I just really like your hat. I was like, oh. All right, fine. Even better. Let's go. He's like, I want to send it to my boss. I'm like, all right, whatever.
That's really funny.
And most of them, everyone said the same thing to me. Mm-hmm. They said, we know what's going on.
Yeah.
We get it.
Yeah. Well, because again, it's like they were the ones who were seeing, we had record numbers of, employment when it comes to the minority community. Women were working, blacks were working, Hispanics were working. We saw all of these awesome records under Trump. And now, literally, the Biden administration has made it a point to say we're undoing all of the things that Trump did. I don't think people took them so literally, right? That like, no, we're undoing all of the progress. You get none of it.
This is just like I said last segment. It's people are seeing that there's something incorrect, and they were sold on a sham for a lot of what's taken place really over the last couple of years, certainly whether you consider COVID, but especially post-election. It's not gotten better for a lot of people. It's gotten worse. And for a lot of folks that went along with it for the sake of getting on the other side, and that's not gotten any better for them. So they're forced to look in the mirror and say either what could they have done to fix, or what can they do to fix this, or what have they done to contribute. So you're seeing people looking at it for what it is, not for what they wanted it to be, which is really what happened when they were voting in the way that they did this past election cycle. Virginia is just another example of people coming together on a particular issue, because the left that played their hand so much, definitely with the public education system, got really cocky to where we own your kids now. We not only own you, we own your children. And it really made a lot of folks angry enough to be like, okay, this is not working for me, particularly those folks in the middle, particularly those folks in the normie guys who will look at something like Trump and say that, well, he votes, not that he votes in a certain way, or rather it's more of he says mean things. He doesn't talk like I think a president should talk, and all that other stuff that had nothing to do with policy. So they ended up supporting something that's diametrically opposed to their own individual progress. So voting against their own self-interest, and they're seeing the fruits of that. Yeah. And it happened so fast. You know what I mean? And we'll see what happens, because like you said, Republicans can't get in their own. They can't get out of their own way. And they tend to screw stuff up. Yeah.
Well, so both of y'all mentioned Virginia as being, one of the first places I think that people are opening up their eyes. Let me give you this story really quickly. The California Department of Education has gotten a ton of criticism from all of these educator groups after they posted, and I should say educator groups who are based in California, because I think that's important to the story. They posted a draft of their revisions that they wanted to make to the state's guidelines on math curriculum and courses. And they've now had to put these guidelines on hold because of all the backlash. So the guidelines were going to discourage the concept of gifted students while injecting social justice issues like gender theory and inequality into their coursework. So they wanted to reject the idea of naturally gifted children and also suggest that math should not be colorblind. Teachers should use lessons to explore social justice. It says, for example, by looking out for gender stereotypes in word problems or applying math concepts to topics like immigration or inequality. It also promoted something called detracking, which keeps students together longer instead of separating high achievers into advanced classes before high school. But this is California, and they even got so much pushback that they have had to put this on the back burner for now. California. Yeah. California.
I hope this is a sign for things to come. Yeah. I mean, look, this is, I think they played their hand, man, and they got too cocky with it, way too confident. And when they started messing with folks' kids, and then people got on the same chord saying, okay, this is a problem now. I know I've been saying it for the better part of freaking a decade, but people are now seeing the problem that it is. You're seeing record numbers of folks being taken out of these public education systems, which I'm more enthusiastic about that. It's awesome. It's awesome. So we'll see what happens.
Just teach the damn math problem.
I was gonna say New York is I know people hate on New York because, but it's not like California. People are starting to wake up. They just, even though they did elect, I forget if it's the governor or the mayor, Eric Adams.
The mayor,
The mayor. He is a Democrat, but he was also a police chief. So slowly but surely, I think people are starting to wake up. It's interesting, right? And the guy that was running, there was two guys, they're running for city council in my district in Brooklyn, and I helped promote one of the guys, hopefully. It was my doing that helped him win, but that's another slow waking up process in my neighborhood. Yeah, because the bank 3 blocks down from me got robbed in the summer. That never happens in that area of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, people are getting desperate because of the economy or whatever it is. It's bad.
It's hitting
people. It's hitting direct in neighborhood and directly in their neighborhoods, and they're saying, now I see it in front of my face. Now I gotta.
Yeah, that's so true. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back. Yeah, I mean, you hate to see it have gotten that far for people.
But some people need it. Yeah.
Just to wrap up this glowing review of Joe Biden himself and how great of a job he's doing. Let's play a clip from Joe Biden over the weekend where he apparently was mocking Americans' intelligence. Does that surprise you at all? During remarks he gave where he answered, again, shocking, only a few questions from reporters. They were asking him about the supply chains, and he's like, please, Americans don't know about the supply chain. They don't know what we're talking about. Come on, watch.
If we were all going out and having lunch together, and I said, let's ask whoever's in the next table, no matter what restaurant we're in, have them explain the supply chain to us. Think they'd understand what we're talking about? They're smart people. But supply chain.
I mean, I'm not convinced that the president of the United States knows what they're talking about at any given point in time. So I'm not sure that
he's only ever had a job in politics, right? He's never even worked in the food industry or anything like that. So how would he know?
That's a great point. He is a career politician. He's been almost 50 years in the public life. Not in the private life, and he thinks he knows more.
Yeah, and I think the majority, like, I worked in the food industry at one point in my life. That was my first job. I worked in a deli.
Yeah, I did too.
Yep.
That's funny.
Cold cuts and sandwiches and lottery tickets.
It does. It teaches you a lot.
And the mafia came in every once in a while, literally.
It does. It teaches you a lot, and certainly he has not had to live like the average American for a while, but belittling to the average American who. They don't understand the supply chain. They just know when Jen Psaki comes on and says, oh, yeah, people are missing their treadmills.
I say let's operate on the idea that was true. Joe Biden just made a case against democracy. I love it, to be honest. Because, I mean, really with regular issues, if I'm going to be honest with you, yeah, your average individual, as smart as they may be in one individual thing, they can't even wrap their minds around some of these concepts. But to be fair, neither can Congress, which is why they pass a bunch of bills that they've never read. Economically, they have no idea of what's going to stem from that. They can't possibly, though these Keynesians and economists in the government try to pretend like they can predict what's going to happen in 10 years or how they're going to be spending, which is impossible. They can't possibly do that. So if anything, what this does is prove that there is something fundamentally wrong with how we govern, because we get to allow a lot of people that folks think are stupid, which I would argue, yeah, in some cases they are. I've already called people stupid earlier in the show, are able to then go to the voter booth, and it counts just as much as yours. And unfortunately, it impacts you in the event that maybe a guy that's going to be doing some very demonic things or destructive things to you, and they're going to impact your individual life. So big shout out to Joe Biden for making a case against democracy.
Okay, so Eric, you mentioned these people who are passing all of these things, and they're completely economically illiterate, and
yes.
still they are passing these things. So let me just give you also Nancy Pelosi talking about this $1.75 trillion spending bill for, of course, the Build Back Better agenda. She went on the floor of Congress and got very, very upset because someone laughed about her claim that this is going to reduce the debt. Listen to this nonsense. Watch.
So if you're talking about how we want to have immediate and enduring difference for the workers and families, creating jobs, securing middle-class tax cuts, lowering costs for families, and making the wealthiest pay their fair share, all the while contributing to reducing the national debt, making everyone pay their fair share. Did I hear a laugh over there? Did I hear a laugh from those who added $2 trillion in tax cuts for the richest people in America, 1%, 83% of it going to the top 1%. This is paid for, and more than paid for.
This is paid for and more than paid for. This is going to give you money back in your pocket. We're going to send you a check after we spend your $1.75 trillion. That's just how math works.
See, it's because they're
That's a really good impression,
they're spending too much damn time trying to teach social justice issues instead of teaching people how to do freaking math. And then they think that they can tell you they're going to spend $1.75 trillion. But don't worry, it's paid for. More than paid for, whatever the hell that means.
Where's that coming from? Not coming from their pockets.
Ain't that the truth? They exempt themselves from everything.
The government's not a producer, okay? Yeah. It's never been a producer. It's not a producer. The money isn't there. They're $30 trillion worth of debt, and they have no desire to not deficit spend. So I don't know what the hell Nancy Pelosi is talking about, and if someone did laugh at her, she deserves a lot worse than that. Considering that stupid thing that she said regarding reducing of the debt. You have no desire to do that, and considering your spending efforts, you can't even do that. So what the hell are you talking about?
Also, I just would like to say, Nancy, just get better Polident or something. It just always sounds like the teeth are just about to, they're just about to all the way fall out of the mouth. I feel like you're an established
it's distracting. That's all I see.
Congressperson. You can afford to go somewhere and get some better dentures. It's just a friendly tip. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back. I'm like. All right, before we go, and also before I bug you about subscribing to the audio podcast, want to make sure that you guys remember and know where you can find these lovely people at this table, which I think, Ariel, you said, this is the left's worst nightmare.
It is.
Right
Look
here.
at us. We got one from every,
Yeah, we are checking those boxes, baby.
This is not what they want to see.
No,
it's great.
No, we're the minority table, and we're coming for you. We're coming for you, lefties. We're coming for you. So make sure that you subscribe. It is youtube.com/Ariel, and it is ARIELLE. Did I get it?
Yes.
Yes, I studied. And then also, don't forget to subscribe if you have not yet already to Eric July, which is youtube.com/YoungRippa59.
That's it.
Okay.
It's been the same since I was 16.
I know, and he's never going to change it either.
No, I'm not.
He's going to be 80 years old doing YouTube videos, and it will be Young Rippa 59 for sure. So I don't have time to read a review today, but we will get to the review tomorrow. So if you have not yet gone to wherever you get your audio podcasts, you got to go subscribe, rate, and review The News and Why It Matters. It will help more people be able to find the program so that they cry less when they're watching the news, because we know it all sucks. All right. Also, don't forget, if you have not yet become a subscriber to BlazeTV, you can do that and save some money if you use promo code NEWS over at blazetv.com. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
We'll see y'all tomorrow.